our next topic. The how, key trends in targeted attacks in the region. And our speaker is the head of BI.ZONE Threat Intelligence. Please put your hand together for Oleg Skulkin.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining my talk today. Today and yesterday, we talked a lot about methods, about technology that may allow us to make our cyberspace safer and not allow adversary, not allow threat actors to gain access to our digital assets. But with all this, there is a problem, because we are discussing various methods, we are discussing various technologies, but threat actors, they do the same. So we have a conference, they have underground forums, they have various chats in Discord, they have various chats in Telegram, and they are also discussing such problems. They are also discussing how to bypass our security solutions. So it's also extremely important to properly understand their methods and their technologies. So to be properly protected, we must understand how they operate. So today I'm going to talk a bit about the how, about their technology and about their methods. So just before we start, a few words about me. So I'm head of cyber threat intelligence at BI.ZONE. So we are investigating various incidents, we are researching various threats for the region as well. Also, I have quite a lot of experience in digital forensics, incident response, cyber threat intelligence. I'm author and co-author of a few books, including award-winning, like Practical Mobile Forensics and Incident Response Techniques for Ransomware Attacks. And I produced a lot of threat research reports that allow everybody to understand how different adversaries in different regions operate and what methods and technology they use. So that's why I'm talking about this today. Okay, so if we are talking about our approach as cyber threat intelligence team, we usually focus on the region that we are operating. So we started from CIS region. We uncovered a lot of activity clusters that nobody talked about, that nobody wrote about. So we decided to do kind of the same for this region. So if you already visited our booth, Cyber Polygon, you may get a copy of this report. So this report is focused on cyber threat landscape of the region. So we analyzed 10 activity clusters who were involved in targeted attacks in 2023 and 2024, extracted information about their tactics, techniques, and of course procedures, and provided all of this in this report. So today I'll provide you a brief overview of the key trends that we collected, we analyzed all the information we were able to get about the threat landscape of the region. So the first trend I want to talk about is threat actors' motivation. Again, we are talking about targeted cyber attacks. So of course, if we are talking about threat landscape in general, if we are talking about attacks which are targeted for regular users, we can see that most of such attacks are related to traditional cybercrime. Then we are talking about targeted attacks. It's a bit different. So as you can see on the slide, 8 out of 10 activity clusters focused on espionage operations. And only some of them performed, for example, ransomware attacks. Of course, ransomware attacks are still quite huge, and we can still see a lot of information published on dedicated leak sites. We can see a lot of information in the news that are talking about targeted attack related to ransomware, but still in the region there are not so many of such attacks because here organizations pay to threat actors less and pay less often. That's why adversaries, especially if we are talking about those who are part of ransomware as a service program, and if we look on underground resources, we can see that they are not very interested in the region. But we can't say the same about those who are involved in espionage operations. Next thing, they are talking a bit about technical parts of the attacks. Most of the adversaries who are active in the region, they used external public-facing services to get initial access to corporate networks. So why? Because nowadays it's extremely easy to get such credentials. Such credentials can be bought on underground markets. Many threat actors use information stealers to exfiltrate authentication material that can be used to gain initial access to corporate networks. So it's very common, and as you can see on the slide, there are a few examples then threat actors just use such credential material to get access, for example, via VPN. The same can be said about RDP. For example, some adversaries use it as well, even to get access to huge corporate networks. Of course, it's a bit strange, but still even big organizations, they may have exposed, they may have such services exposed, and of course, threat actors may perform either brute force attacks to get such access, or as I already said, it's extremely easy, and it's definitely a trend that threat actors may obtain authentication materials on underground markets. So next thing, then they're talking about post-exploitation. There are a lot of tools, there are a lot of samples of malware that threat actors may use, but at the same time, those tools that are built into operating system, they are heavily used by various adversaries. For example, most popular command and scripting interpreter, PowerShell, is the most common tool, the most common interpreter that is used by various adversaries. So why it is so? Because adversaries can use it to solve a lot of various problems during various parts of attack lifecycle. So for example, then they get initial access using absolutely legitimate accounts. They still need, for example, to collect information about the network they got access to. So they can use this interpreter to collect information about computers that are available. They may use it to download additional payloads to the host. Again, not all the adversaries use malware, not all adversaries use penetration testing tools. In many cases, they just use legitimate software. They'll talk about it a bit later. So again, such interpreters can be used by threat actors to for ingress tool transfer, for example. If you look at the examples that are presented on the slide, some activity clusters used it for process injection, for example. Others used to stop various processes and services. Again, if we're talking about ransomware attacks, they still need to kill a lot of processes, kill a lot of services on the compromised system, so the ransomware payload can be executed easily. Also, this command and scripting interpreter can be used to remove backups, to change configurations. It can be used to change passwords. So it will be really, really hard for incident responders to deal with the adversary. As I already said, many adversaries try to exfiltrate data as their motivation as espionage. Again, if we are talking about such built-in tools like PowerShell, the threat actors may use it either, for example, to collect emails or collect information from various information repositories. So, threat actors may use many tools that are readily available, that are sold on underground markets. For example, on the previous slide, I mentioned that threat actors use ngRat. It's quite popular malware that can be either bought on underground resources or on various Telegram chats and other chats, or even can be found and downloaded freely as a cracked malware. At the same time, if we are talking again about espionage, usually such attacks are quite sophisticated, so threat actors need something more sophisticated than regular malware or some popular post-exploitation frameworks like Cobalt Strike, Sliver, and all that. So we see that many threat actors who are active in the region, they just create their own frameworks for perform various post-exploitation activities. So this allows them to bypass defenses, first of all, and frameworks that are not very common. They are really hard to detect because nobody knows about them, nobody have any signatures to detect them, and what can we do with that? Focus on, for example, other post-exploitation activities, because nowadays the attack life cycle is quite long. So one of the examples is a framework that was named Liontail. So it's custom framework that was used by a cluster that's named Winged Werewolf according to our taxonomy. So next thing, as I already mentioned, many threat actors, they used absolutely legitimate tools to gain persistent access, to gain redundant access to the compromised environment. So threat actors who are active in the region, they often use absolutely legitimate remote access software. TeamViewer, Simple Help, Atera, Mesh Agent, just a few of such examples. Such things may be really hard to detect because, for example, if you have a huge environment and your network administrators, your system administrators, your security personnel use such tools for remote access, and if threat actors during post-exploitation get authentication material to use such tools, or, for example, install the same tools that are already available in the environment, this may be extremely hard to detect malicious activities, but again, you should remember that when they're talking about such tools, it's just a door for the threat actors to get into the network or to get to the network one more time, then they already got access via other means. And they still need to perform various post-exploitation activities once they get there. So you still have quite a few detection opportunities so you can stop the attack before there is any impact. So, as I said, most adversaries that are active in the region, they focus on espionage operations. What does it mean? It means that threat actors need to collect as much data as possible. And what this means? This means that they won't stop on just one host. They won't stop on just one server. So they get the initial access, then they try to move laterally throughout the network. Again, use various legitimate tools, use various legitimate command and scripting interpreters to get persistent access to this environment. And they jump from one server to another server, from one host to another host, so they can find this sensitive information and exfiltrate it. So they may use various local systems. So if there are any information, including passwords, including sensitive documents, etc., from just one host, and they can get there, for example, using phishing emails, or again, if it's public-facing and there are any available remote access services, they can abuse these. They can get information from various repositories like Confluence, like CRM, etc. They can get information from mailboxes. So some adversaries exfiltrate not just emails, but the whole mailboxes if they get access to Exchange server, for example. So, as I said, they won't stop on just a few systems, and they can then can stay in the network for quite a long time. And again, it enables you to get them before it's too late, because they need to do quite a few steps to achieve their goals, and they need to visit quite a few systems to achieve their goals. So that was just a brief overview. Of course, the report that is available on our booth and also available online, it contains a lot of details on not only on tactics, techniques, sub-techniques, but also on procedures that are used by various adversaries. So on this slide, you can see the most popular tactics and techniques. Those were used by adversaries who were active in the region in 2023 and 2024. Again, what should be said here, as you can see, there are quite a few of tactics and techniques that are used by adversaries. And what does it mean? Threat actors need to gain initial access. Then they need to do a lot of steps before they collect data, before they exfiltrate data, before they do some impact on the compromised environment. And it means that we, as defenders, have quite a few stages and quite a few chances where we can spot suspicious activity in our networks, and of course to respond to such activity properly, and that allows us to stop the adversary. Thank you. If you have any questions and if you want to check the whole version of the report, you can get to our booth and chat with me about it. Thank you.